Hey guys, Joe here, and today's video is going to be kind of a comparison. It's not a real fair comparison because one gun is slightly modified and one is bone stock, but I think you'll see as we go through it that this is actually a very valid video. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. I really appreciate it. If you like videos like this, maybe consider getting subscribed. You'll help the channel grow and allow me to get stuff like this. What you're seeing in front of your face is my Taurus G3, and we'll go ahead and press check each one or safety check each firearm before we continue. That one is clear. And this is Daniel's Glock 19 Gen 4, but as you can see, it's highly customized in appearance. We're going to move these magazines out of the way for now. That one in the back is a video you're going to be seeing eventually this week or so. It is a Lionheart LH9C. Really cool pistol, but that's not the focus of today. I just happen to have a bunch of guns laying around. Today's video is going to be a comparison between the G3 and a Glock 19 because the G3 is directly, and I mean directly, a Glock 19 competitor, or cheaper alternative may be a better thing, because to say competitor would be to say that it's on the exact same level as Glock. Now here's the thing. There are some advantages to the Taurus. There are some advantages to the Glock, and I'll be talking about both. I don't fanboy over many firearms. 1911s as a platform I like to geek out over, but when it comes to just a good pistol, I try to be as unbiased as I can. If I don't like one, I'm definitely going to tell you, hint hint Chiappa, cough cough, wink wink. But when it comes to a Glock, I'm not one of those people that hates a Glock. I think they're a little plain in their standard form, but so did Daniel. That's why he had his done up. Actually, I believe this was a distributor special with just some add-ons. But I'm just as apt to say that this G3 isn't a super fancy gun. So let's get into it. We'll compare the similarities first, and then we'll talk about the differences. Number one, in terms of similarity, they're the exact same length. The barrel sticks out of the front of the Glock 19 just a little bit, but when the chambers are lined up, you can see they both have 4-inch barrels. They both use Browning tilting action with breech lock technology, which means that it locks up here. It doesn't use lugs inside the slide like 1911s and CZs and Browning high powers do. They both are polymer lower, steel uppers, although this one again came from a distributor with this stippled grip and the slightly lightened slide. He added the gold extended mag release and the gold extended slide release. He also added some True Glow night sights. Those are just personal options, and they're options that you can actually do to a G3 minus, I think, the gold trigger or the gold releases. They both are about the same size, about the same weight. The Glock actually, even with this frame, which is a little bit lighter, feels maybe an ounce heavier. I'd have to put them on a scale, which I unfortunately don't have. They're both striker fired. They both stock carry 15 rounds. However, they are both available with larger magazine capacities. The G3, when you purchase it, comes with a 15 rounder and a 17 rounder. The Glock normally comes with just a 15 rounder. However, Daniel was using a 17 rounder, and that's what he gave me to show today. This one, because it is a customized version of it, does have forward and rear slide serrations. Typically, Glocks just have rear slide serrations. The G3 comes standard with forward and rear slide serrations. 3-dot sight on the G3 is standard. It's a Novak style. This one again has True Glows, TFOs, tritium front optic. So as you can see, it's both a tritium as well as a fiber optic. Right? Yeah, tritium and fiber optic, so TFOs. So since they're both very similar, in what ways are they different? Well, Glock uses a single slot accessory rail. Most of them do it. I don't know which ones come with a pick rail. I don't think any of them outside of maybe the 19X. It's been a while since I played with one. The G3 has a standard 1913 pick rail, flat bottom rail that you can put pretty much any accessory on. It's also a longer accessory rail. Comes back all the way to the trigger guard, whereas the Glock stops. Again, I know it's a different stippling on this frame, but it's just a Glock frame that's been stippled. The Glock has a wider magazine bevel, or a beveled magwell, which the Taurus does not. Triggers, they are quite different. That's one area where the two guns differ in a very large capacity. What I mean by that is a Glock is a single action only pistol. Once you pull the trigger, it's dead until another round goes in there. The Taurus is double action, single action, which means double action, then it goes into single action. Or you just have double strike capabilities should the round not go off. So you pull the trigger, no bang, you let it go, you pull it again, it's the same double action pull. So in that regard, this has a little bit of an advantage over this one. They both have trigger guard safeties, or trigger safeties, not trigger guard safeties, trigger safeties, which are very common nowadays, especially on striker-fired pistols. However, the Taurus offers something that the Glock doesn't, in that it offers an external safety. Some folks like them, some folks hate them. I don't care either way. I don't mind them. If a gun has an external safety, I use it. I do appreciate that the one on the G3 is done in a 1911 style with almost 1911 placement. So as you can see, it's up to safe, down to fire, and it works just like the thumb safety on a 1911. In terms of build quality, I actually think the fit and finish on the Taurus is a little bit tighter than it is on the Glock. That's not to say the Glock is in any way bad. Even a regular Glock, this one again being a cut and light and slide, is a little bit different. However, the fit from the frame to the slide itself is always wider. You can pretty much always see through a Glock. Whereas the Taurus, you can see it's a very uniform finish. It fits perfectly all the way across the firearm. That just shows that I think for a mass-produced pistol, this one is in slightly better build than this one. Taking them apart, they're basically identical because, again, this is a Glock 19 clone. You just do that, pull your trigger, top comes off. Same thing with the Glock. Pull back a little bit, drop your tabs, pull your trigger, top comes off. When you look at the two, that's where you see some differences. This one has a different slide design, whereas this one has a very large recoil spring catch area. This is a Glock, so it has a much smaller version. However, they both have double nested steel springs. But I will say, man, those barrels are so similar. So similar. The Glock has a slightly thicker wall than the Taurus does, although that could just be perception, but it really does look like the Glock has a thicker wall around it. That could be for tolerances. It could be just because they wanted it to handle a little bit more pressure. I can tell you that I've run 147 grain through the Taurus and never had an issue. I've also run 147 through Glocks and never had an issue. Now let's take a look at the inside of the slides. As you can see, they're both finished very well. In terms of marks, they appear to be just as nice. TLDR, I've already put almost 200 rounds through this gun. Film didn't work out. The video and audio refused to sync because of a variable frame rate issue. So I lost all that footage, so I'll be taking it out to shoot it again. But even after almost 200 rounds, you can see it's in very similar condition to Daniel's. Daniel has shot his, of course, and we'll be taking them both out tomorrow because I want to compare them at the range. So look forward to that video coming. They both have external extractors. It's a little bit longer on the Taurus than it is on the Glock. However, as you can see, they both have firing pin safeties in approximately the same place, and they both have their strikers and release plates in about the same orientation. What this tends to say is that there's not a whole lot of room to innovate on a striker-fired pistol unless you do something weird like the all of a sudden I can't remember the name of it, but those ones where the bullet. I'm thinking of the guns where the barrel is in line with the trigger. There's a couple of them out there. All of a sudden I can't remember the name of it. I'll remember it and put it up here on the screen. But other than that, when it comes to a striker-fired pistol, Glock sets the standard and the smart guys will copy it. Reassembly for both pistols is exactly the same. You just always make sure this tab is down. Take your guns back in firing order. You take your Taurus, same thing, put your barrel in. I was tempted to try the barrels in the wrong guns, however the bottom portions where it locks up with the frames are different and I didn't want to damage anything. More of I didn't want to damage anything on the Glock. I don't really care because I don't think I can damage anything on the Taurus. I will say that the Taurus has slightly thicker rails as well. But again, that's just personal opinion. Here's a tip for you guys: when you're reassembling the Taurus, you do have to push this down. This tab for the firing pin safety has to go down when the back of the gun comes back, otherwise it won't seat correctly. Yeah, so once you do that, just like a Glock, you pull it back, it locks in, and you're good to go. So why would I do a comparison on these two pistols? And I'm sure you've been wondering that since the beginning of this video. Number one, this is a $250 pistol, MSRP. Well, not MSRP, they're actually like $289, but street price, you're going to pay about $250 for a Taurus G3. A standard Glock 19, Gen 4, Gen 5, regardless, you're going to pay about $500 for a stock one. For one that's been customized by the distributor like this one has, not counting the sights or the mag release that he added, you're going to pay about like $575, and then once you add your sights and your releases and everything, you're probably going to have about $600 into this one. Lakeline sells fiber optic sights, true glow fiber optic sights for this gun for $54. So for about $300 you could have a gun that's very similar in equipment to the Glock, has a very similar build quality, at least from my initial testing. I had no problem shooting mine, and just from appearances, if you were comparing stock to stock, the G3 has more style than the Glock. So tomorrow, when I take this out to the range with Daniel, I think that is going to be the test. Will this gun be able to perform as well as this gun? I can tell you this gun is as accurate as a Glock, and since it has a slightly more traditional grip angle, I find it's easier for me to find the target with this gun than a Glock, at least until I practice. So I have a feeling that at the end of the video tomorrow, I'm going to say that this G3 is every bit as good as this Glock. Let me know down in the comments if you fired both yourself and what you think, if you think I'm way off base, if you think I'm right, if you have another gun you think would be a better competitor to the Glock. I'd like to hear it. I can't really think of one. The Security 9 is hammer fired, the TH9's hammer fired. The M&Ps are in the same price range as these, so they're not really a great competitor, and there's just not a whole lot out there that I think right now can hold a candle to the imitation Glock Taurus line. And that's what I want to call this, because the G2C is basically now a Glock 26. This is a Glock 19. I'm waiting to see if they do something where they do a longer barrel and come out with the Glock 17 competitor. So that's about it. I'm going to get out of here. Please feel free to use my Amazon affiliate link. You can help the channel grow by just buying whatever you would normally buy, and it gets a little kickback to me, and I will use it to buy ammunition and other firearms. Subscribe so that you get notified when new videos come out, and check out some of the other videos on the channel. I do computers, guns, tech, cars, all that stuff. Not so much cars, I'm still working on that, but I'll get back into that as well. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.